Hello everyone. أهلا بيكم في تعلم الإنجليزية. Learn English. So we're back again talking about a topic that we started and we will continue speak about it for a while. The topic that we started is holidays, and today we're going to continue with that and we're going to look at complaints. But if we're talking about complaints, we're talking about all types of complaints, not only holiday complaints. So we're going to look at different types of complaints that we might face in any situation. So let's look in detail what we're going to learn about. So first of all, we're going to learn vocabulary, and for the vocabulary we're going to look at bad services. So we're going to see how we can describe any problem with any bad service. So this is the important part that we will need to use when we speak about complaints. The second thing that we're going to speak about is grammar. And for grammar, we're going to speak about reported speech. And we will need reported speech for the skills that we're going to learn today. Because today, we're going to learn skills like writing and reading. And for writing, we're going to see how we can write a complaint. And to do that, we will need reported speech. So this will be a very long episode and it will last for a while with us. So let's now start, and let's start with our brain teasers. And for the brain teasers today, we have riddles. If you don't remember the meaning of a brain teaser is like a puzzle or an activity that helps me think in English. So this is helping me to activate the English part in my brain, and we can warm up using that. So let's start and let's look at our first riddle. A riddle is like a puzzle, something that we need to think about to know the answer. So let's start and let's look at the riddle. The first riddle that we have is saying, imagine you are in a room with no door and no windows. How do you get out? So again, imagine that you are in a room with no door and no windows. So just walls. How do you get out? I will give you a second. Think about it. How would you get out from a room like that? Room, no doors or windows or anything that can allow you to get out. So again, imagine that you're in that place. How would you get out of that place? So here, the answer is a bit funny and a bit different. So this will help you think outside the box. So the answer that we have is stop imagining. As simple as this. Because you're just imagining you're inside. If you would like to get out, just stop imagining. And this is the answer for our first riddle. So see how it's different and the answer is somewhere that you didn't expect? So think about all the riddles that we have, and you need to think deeply. Sometimes the answer is connected to the words. Sometimes it's connected to one piece of information that is mentioned in there. So let's go to our second riddle. So here we have, if an electric train is driving at a speed of 150 miles per hour north, and the wind is blowing south at a speed of 55 miles per hour. What way will the smoke blow? Let's read it again. If an electric train is driving at a speed of 150 miles per hour north and the wind is blowing south at the speed of 55 miles per hour, what way will the smoke blow? Think about it. So look at the numbers, look at the words. The answer is in the words of the riddle. So your answer is hidden in there. If you concentrate and focus enough, you will find the answer for this puzzle. So let's look at the givings. We have electric train and we have speed 150 miles north. We have the wind, the speed for it, 55 miles south. So if we're talking about the smoke, what direction would it go? So what way will the smoke blow? Again, as we said, the answer is in the words, and the answer is no way. The smoke will not go anywhere, because as simple as it's an electric train in which we don't have smoke. So, as we said, the answer is in the words, electric train. This is your answer. So, you think about all the numbers and stuff, but the answer is in the word electric train, which tells you it does not have smoke. Okay, and for our next riddle, or for the last riddle, there are 3 houses. One is red, one is blue, and one is white. If the red house is to the left of the one in the middle, and the blue house is the right to the one in the middle, where is the white house? So, let's read it again. There are 3 houses. One is red, one is blue, and one is white. If the red house is to the left of the one in the middle, and the blue house is to the right of the one in the middle, where is the white house? So you need to think about the place of the white house. Where is the white house? Okay, this is a simple riddle, and again, the answer is connected to the words. Look at the words and concentrate with them. Think about them deeply. You will find the answer in there. Where is the White House? Okay, so the answer is in America. Because you know the White House where the president lives, this is the only house that is called the White House. So when I ask you where is the White House, it's not connected to the rest of the information. It's a direct question. Where is the White House? It is in America. And this is our third riddle. By this, we're going to start and look at our idioms of the day. Do you remember the meaning of idioms? Idioms are expressions that have words, and these words are not connected or are not literally connected to the expression. So words give a total different meaning from their own. So we have idioms today that are connected to complaining, to problems, and to complaints. So let's look at our first idiom that we have, which is somehow connected either by words or by meaning to the idea of bad services and complaints. So the first idiom that we have today is can't complain, which means everything is okay. And the second idiom, can't stand, which means I really hate. And the last idiom, which is leave a lot to be desired, which means it wasn't satisfactory or it wasn't up to my expectations. Let's now start and look at complaints. So for complaints here, before we start anything, we need to look at the difference between complain and complaints. The word that we usually see is complain. We stop at the letter N. And now we have extra letter T and S. So what is the difference between the word that we usually see, complain, and this word that we have in front of us, which is complaint? So we have two different words, complain and complaints. If we're looking at the meaning, it is exactly the same. So complain and complaint have the same meaning. So what is the difference? The difference is that we are talking about two different forms. We're looking at verb and we're looking at a noun. So if we're looking at the verb, it's called a complain, and this is ending with an N, the normal word that we usually see. And if we're looking at the noun, it is a complaint if we're talking about singular, and complaints with the S if we're talking about plural. So here, complain, verb, and complaint, noun. So if we're going to look at it, I can say, when I have a problem, I need a verb. I usually complain. Or last week, when I went to that restaurant, I made a complaint. So here the verb is made. After verb we need a noun, so it's a complaint. So this is the main difference. We have complain and complaint, verb and noun. So let's now start and look at the most important things that we can see when we buy something or when we get something. Let's look at the important words that can help me speak about bad service or especially bad goods. So goods are the same like products. Here we have words that we will usually have or see in a conversation where you have a problem with a product or maybe a service. So we have receipt, exchange, we have policy, repair, guarantee, label, faulty, hanger, warranty, insurance, price tag, and the last one is refund. These are the words that usually, or you can usually find when you have a conversation, when you return a product, or when you are not satisfied with a service. So let's match these words to the meanings. So here we have the meanings. How long a product's life is assured for. So this is our first word. This is the product that you get. They give you time. If any problem happens with it, you can just return it, or actually here it's not return it, you can fix it for free. So this is called the guarantee. So the guarantee period is maybe 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, depending on the product. And within this guarantee period, what happens if you have whatever problem, they will take it and fix it for free, as long as the problem is in the product, not in the usage. And then we have something that you use to put clothes on. This is called hanger. Hanger. So what you put your clothes on in the wardrobe or the closet is called a hanger. And we have the rules that a company must follow. If we're talking about the rules for a company or the rules followed by a company, this is called the policy. The policy. So whenever you're talking about the guarantee, the policy is going to be checked. So you need to check the guarantee and the policy to make sure that everything will be covered under the guarantee. And then we have the money that you pay to cover you in case of accidents, and it's not only you, it's to cover anything. So it might be there to cover a car, it might be there to cover a mobile or yourself. This is called the insurance. Insurance. So for example, if you have a faulty car or if you have a problem with the car, you can say that the car is insured, which means if you fix it, if you face any problem, you will not pay any money. And then the amount of time that a company will allow for refund or replacement. Now, this is called warranty. Warranty. So what is the difference between warranty and guarantee? The warranty is usually 14 days or maybe a week, sometimes week to 14 days. Within the week or the 14 days, you have to use the product. You have the right to use the product. And if you don't like it, or if you found out that it's not working properly, you return it and you take your money back. So this is the warranty. Meanwhile, the guarantee, it's after you buy it and you use it, you have year or 2 years or 6 months or whatever. If you have a problem with it, if it's not working, they will fix it for you. So the warranty, 10-14 days, you return it, you take your money, or maybe replace it. But after the 14 days, no replacement, fixing only. So the only option that you have is fix it. So warranty, replace it, guarantee, fix it. When something is broken, is sent to be fixed, this is the repair. So you send it to the repair or you repair it. And the next one, a piece of paper to prove that you have paid for an item. Usually, when you return anything within the warranty period, you need to get the receipt. So your word here is receipt. And the next one, the tag on clothes that tells you how much something costs. So how you know the price of something, this is called the price tag. The price tag. And when you swap a product for another or for the same, so this is called exchange. Exchange. So I give you the mobile and I take another mobile. I give you the blouse and I take a different one. And then the information tag in clothes. So for example, you're buying a jacket, and in the jacket you will find information how to wash it, information about the size. So this is not for the price. This is for the information for you. This is called the label. So it's the label. And the last one, an item that doesn't work or looks as it should do. So something that's not working properly, this is a faulty item. So faulty or defected, both are fine. Okay, so for now, we have looked at the most important words that will allow us have a conversation when we return something that is not working or when we speak about the guarantee. So now let's look at other complaints that we might have. And for the first thing, we will look at complaints at clothes shop. Let's look at problems that we might face when we buy something from the clothes shop. So now we're going to look at some expressions and some complaints that we can make in different places. So to start with, we're going to look at the complaints that we might have at a clothes shop. So when you buy clothes and once you go home and check it, you might find problems. So this will lead to what we already talked about, which is exchanging it or returning it. So let's look at the most common problems that we might find with clothes so we can complain about them. The first problem that we have is there is a button missing. When you get a blouse or when you get a jacket and you go home and just try it on and you find out that one button is not there. So there is a button missing. There is a button missing. Or we can say that the zipper is broken. The zipper is broken. The zipper is the thing that we use to close pants or to zip up a jacket maybe or a blouse. So it's broken, which means it's two pieces. So this is the zipper is broken. So this is another problem that you might face once you go home and check new jeans or new pants that you have just bought. And we also have, there is a rip in the seam. The seam is the area which joins two pieces of clothes together. What do we mean by that? If we're talking about the piece that joins, for example, the sleeve to the jacket. So this area where we have the sleeve joined to the jacket is called the seam. So when we have wrap in the seam, this means that it's not properly joined, but the piece of cloth itself is okay. So I don't have any cuts in the cloth. The cut is in the join. So where they joined the two pieces together. So this is what we call it. There is a rip in the seam. But we have another problem if you have a piece of the cloth itself missing or the cloth is not in a good condition. So there is a rip in the seam. This means that the cloth, the fabric, is in good condition, is just not properly joined. And then we have, it is too large. When you get something and try it on, and when you go home you find that it's not the same size, so it's too large. Or the opposite, it's too small. And this is what I was just talking about a minute ago. Now we're not talking about the area that joins the t-shirt to the sleeve, for example. We're talking about the t-shirt itself. It has a hole in it. So there is a hole in the shirt, or there is a hole in the t-shirt. So we can say there is a hole, and we say the piece of cloth if we're talking about something wrong with the fabric itself, or the fabric is not in good condition. So if we're talking about the rip in the seam, the cloth is in good condition, but it's not properly joined. But here it is properly joined, but the cloth itself is missing a piece. So this is called a hole or a rip. Both would be fine. And now we will look at complaints in restaurants. So we have seen what might be wrong with things that you might buy from a clothes shop. And we also have a restaurant. So what might you face when you go to a restaurant? So what problems or what complaints you might make in case that you are in a restaurant? Here we have different customers, and all these customers are in a very, very bad restaurant. So everybody has a problem, and everyone will talk about his problem. So let's see the first customer, and let's see what his problem is. So the first customer is saying, my soup is cold. So we're talking about a problem in the food. And of course, when we speak about it, or when we use this later, we can always exchange the word soup, and we can put whatever we want. You can say, my coffee is cold. My drink is cold, it's going to be fine. But if we're talking about my rice is cold, the fries is cold. So we can replace the word soup with anything that might be cold. And we have, my spoon is dirty. And again, we can replace the word spoon with any of the poultry or with anything that we have around us on the table. It might be my glass, my cup, my plate, or my table itself. So we can use different things with the same expression. And we have, my potatoes are hard. Hard, which means it's not soft enough. So if you're talking about the fork doesn't go inside. So it's called hard, which means it's not cooked well. And for the idea of hard, we can speak about potatoes, we might speak about sweet potatoes, or you might speak about cucumber, or maybe you're talking about courgettes, things that should be a bit well cooked. And then the food is overcooked. The food is overcooked. If we're talking about something that is overcooked, this means that it's cooked too well, that it lost its shape. So for example, if we're talking about potatoes, if it's overcooked, if you put the fork inside it, you can't hold it. So we're talking about something that took too long and it lost its shape. And the opposite for that is the food is undercooked. So undercooked, which means it's below the good level to be eaten. And we can usually use it for especially meat. So if we're talking about meat, if it's undercooked, you can't cut it with a knife. So we call it the food is undercooked. So by this, we have overcooked, and we have undercooked, and we have hard. All of them are describing the cooking of the food, the level of cooking for the food. And we also have the food is so salty, which means it has too much salt. Or the food is bland. And of course, we can replace food with any other word. So you can replace it with potatoes, you can replace it with anything that you want. But the question is, do you remember the meaning of bland? So bland means tasteless, or it doesn't have a strong taste, which means it's not delicious. So you can say that the potatoes are bland, or you can say that this pasta is bland, which means it doesn't have a taste. And we also have the bill isn't correct. And here we're talking about the receipt in the end, after you finish eating and you find what you pay is not exactly what you should pay, which means that they either overcharge you or maybe they undercharge you, like you ordered something and they did not count it in the bill, or there is something in the bill that you did not order. And we have, I ordered salad, not chips, and here we have a wrong order, like when you order something and you get something else. Or the steak is burnt, and as we said, we can replace steak with anything, and this is another word for cooking as well. So this is cooking it too much until it's burnt. So by this, we have burnt, and then we have hard, and we have undercooked and overcooked. All of them are talking about the cooking of the food. And the service is too slow. The service is too slow, which means I waited too long, either for the waiter to take my order or for my order to arrive. Or the waiter is rude. Rude, which means impolite. He is not respectful, or he did not respect the customer enough. By this, we have looked at problems, or the most common problems that you might face either when you buy clothes or when you go to a restaurant when you have lunch or dinner. Let's now look at other complaints in a different place and see what other complaints we might talk about. So we have looked at complaints in restaurants and we have looked at complaints at clothes shops. So now let's look at hotels. What kind of complaints you might have when you go to a hotel? So here we have a customer and we have the room service, and we will see different types of complaints that the customer would make. So the first one is the room is too noisy. So maybe your room is close to the pool or is close to the restaurant. This way it would be too noisy. And there are no towels. There are no towels. So this is the second complaint. Or the TV isn't working. And we can have lots of things that we can replace the word TV with. We can say the telephone, we can say the remote control, we can say other different things that are not working. And the shower isn't hot enough. The shower isn't hot enough here means that the water heater either is not working, or the level of the water heat is not as I expected. So it's called the shower isn't hot enough. Or the bulb is flickering. The bulb is flickering. First of all, the bulb is this, what we put inside the chandelier or what we put inside the lamp so that you can get light. So it's called the bulb. Flickering means lighting and going off, lighting and going off. So this is called flickering, and it usually gives headache. So this is called the bulb is flickering. So we have is not working, no light at all. Flickering, it's coming and going. And the AC is broken. The AC is broken, which means it's not working. Or the tap is leaking. The tap is leaking, which means it's dropping water all the time. These are types of complaints that you might face when you go to a hotel. For now, let's look at complaining as vocabulary. So let's see what expressions, what statements can we see when we complain, and how can the people reply to my complaints? What would they say? So I am telling them that your service is bad. In this case, what would the answer be? And am I always right? So for example, I'm complaining about something which is ridiculous, which doesn't make sense. Would they follow, or would they tell me something about it? So let's see both sides. Let's see the customer and the service provider. And let's see different types of things that I can say and different replies that I can get. Before we do that, let's look at different meanings for the word complain. So, complain is a verb, and we say make a complaint. So, this is a verb and a noun. Or we can also say put forward a complaint. So, the difference between make and put forward is the level of formality. Put forward a complaint is more formal than make a complaint. Or show dissatisfaction. This is another way of saying that I have a complaint. So here we have different other words or other different verbs that have the same meaning as complain. So complain, and then we said complaints with the collocations of it. Make a complaint, have a complaint. So this is the first one. And then we have complain, which is the same mean as grumble about, which is verb and verb. So I can say he complained about or he grumbled about. The difference again is the level of formality. So I can't say that, or I can't let somebody hear me when I say that the customer grumbled about blah blah blah, because this is a bit informal. I can say the customer complained about, and if I am talking to a friend or something, she grumbled about the service. And we can say the cause for a complaint. What is the cause for the complaint? Why do you have a complaint? And then, like we said, to make a complaint, this is the collocation for it. And we have object to. To object to something, which means to say that something is not okay with you or that you don't like something. And then we have to whine, which means complain a lot. It's not only complain, it's complain a lot and keep complaining. So, for example, I can say that, or when we go to a hotel, I start and I complain about, for example, the sanitary products. I don't have shower gel. And they send me shower gel. But I keep whining, which means I keep complaining about it. So they already did it, but I still don't like it. So I call them again. No, this is not the type I like. They change it. And then I call them again. No, this is not the smell I like. So this is whining. Whining means complaining a lot to the level it becomes annoying. So this is called whining. So I can say my sister whines about her room all the time, which means she always complains about her room. So we have complain and whine. And usually whine again is an informal word. So let's look at formal and let's see how we can make a formal complaint. So usually when you are in a place, once you face a problem, you start communicating your problem to someone. So we usually say that in a polite, formal way, which means I say it or I communicate my problem in a nice way. So let's look at different expressions that can help us do that. First of all, we have I'd like to make a complaint about my, and then we continue. So after my, it's usually the noun, which is the thing that I have a complaint about. Like, I'd like to make a complaint about my room, if we're talking about a hotel, or I'd like to make a complaint about my soup, if we're talking about a restaurant, or I'd like to make a complaint about my blouse or t-shirt, if we're talking about a clothes shop. So here, after my, it's the noun or the thing that we have a problem with. I wish to complain in the strongest possible terms about, and here we're talking about an angry customer. So here, I wish to complain in the strongest possible terms about blah, 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 about, and here we put about my soup, about, again, a noun. But make sure that the first one is usually spoken and the second one is usually written. So if I am complaining verbally, the first one. If I am complaining written, we're using the second one. Or I'm extremely displeased with, displeased means not happy. and this is the second one, and this can be used both verbally or written. And we're still talking about politely. I am not happy with, we can say I am not happy with, or I am afraid I have to make a serious complaint, which means I am not very happy with still. Or, look, I'm sorry to trouble you, but, this means I am sorry to bother you, but, and after but, I put a complete sentence. So, but my room is too noisy, but I have a problem with my soup. So after but, it's a complete sentence with subject, verb, and object. Or, excuse me, I am afraid, and then we put a complete sentence. I am afraid my room is too noisy. I am afraid that my shirt is, has a hole in it, or whatever. Still talking about polite complaints, excuse me, there seems to be something wrong with, and then we put the noun. Something wrong with my dish, something wrong with my table, with my room. It's usually the noun. I wonder if you could help me, and then you say the sentence, I have a problem with blah, blah, blah. Or, I've got a bit of a problem here. You see, and then you put a complete sentence. Like, I've got a bit of a problem here. You see, my table is not clean enough. Or you see, my soup came and it was too salty. So after you see, you put a complete sentence. Do you think you could? And then I request what I want. Do you think you could exchange this mobile for me? Do you think you could replace this item for me? Or, I am sorry to have to say this, but your service is too slow. So after but, it's usually a complete sentence with subject, verb, and object. Would you mind? And then verb and ing, it's a gerund. So, would you mind changing this soup for me? Would you mind exchanging this mobile for me? I wish you wouldn't mind, and then we're still talking about a gerund. I wish you wouldn't mind helping me with this problem. Or, I do wish you could, and then we're talking about infinitive without to. So, I wish or I do wish you could exchange the room for me, get me another soup, or whatever. So, would it be a good idea to or not to? Would it be a good idea to exchange my room? Or would it be a good idea not to call me on my mobile phone? So, this or that, this is complaining. Or I understand it's not your fault, and this is when we speak to an employee and we know that he didn't do anything. For example, my soup is too salty, and I'm talking to the waiter. He didn't do anything, he just brought it to me. So I understand it's not your fault, but I start telling him the problem. Or, I'm afraid there may be a misunderstanding. I ordered salad and you brought me chips. Or, I'm sorry to bother you, and then we put a complete sentence. This is the nice way, this is the polite way of saying your problem. And then we have the higher level when you are really angry. For example, you communicated your problem once and twice and you still have the same problem existing. So in this case, that's really unfair. For example, I have a faulty mobile, I ask them to exchange it and they say no. So I can say, this is really unfair, or that's really unfair. I really think that's unfair, or I'd like you to, and then I tell them what they need to do. I am dissatisfied, or fetch the manager. Fetch the manager means bring the manager, or I'd like to speak to a manager. This is all me as a customer. Let's look at the other side. Let's look at the service provider. What do they say? First of all, if they accept the complaint and they understand that they have a problem with their service, they would apologize and give me options or alternatives like, I'm so sorry about that. please allow me to bring you another drink or another meal. So this is giving me an alternative. So if you see, they usually start with apology. I'm sorry to hear you are unhappy or you are not happy with our service or with our room, so we will, and then they tell you what they'll do. Or I'm sorry, I'll see what I can do if he's not the problem or if he's not the person in charge. If he's not responsible for that, he will check. We're still talking about accepting. Leave it with me, I'll make sure something's done. Like, I will make sure that your problem is solved. Or I'll pass your complaint to the manager. Oh, I'm sorry about that. I can't tell you how sorry I am. These are all ways for apologies to tell me that what I say is valid. I wish it never happened. Oh dear, I'm really sorry. Or my apologies. These are all different ways to apologize for bad service. Or I just don't know how to say, or I just don't know what to say. And we also have, I am sorry, I don't know what happened, I look into it. Like when you tell me I ordered chips and you brought me salad, it's like, I'm sorry, I don't know what happened, I look into it. Or I will take care of it, which means I will sort the problem or I will fix the problem. This is all, or for all these cases, my complaint is accepted and they will change or they will do something about it. And we have the other hand, which is something that is not valid and what I say is not acceptable. In this case, they will tell me that, well, I'm afraid there is nothing we can do about it actually. So, for example, when I say that my room is too noisy, so there is nothing that we can do about it. If they don't have any other rooms available or if all the rooms are the same, nothing can be done. Or, well, I'm afraid there isn't much we can do about it. So these are different ways to tell the customer or to tell me as a customer that what I say is not valid or what I say is pointless. So by this, we have looked at different types of complaints and different things or different problems that we might face in different places. And we have looked at expressions that I can show my dissatisfaction with and replies from the service provider. So by this, we have reached the end of the first part of this episode. So thank you very much for watching and let's continue next time. Bye-bye.